Well, we got busy putting push rods in, and I forgot to get some footage for you. Sorry about that. Now we're going to see about test fitting the intake manifold, see how it fits, and get ready to install it. Okay, we test fit the Edelbrock Pro Flo 4 EFI, and it looks like everything's going good. One of the photos I saw was showing it shipping with the fuel rails and everything on there, but that won't work the way the fuel rails bolt down. We set that on there to make sure how much gap we had here so we could pile up the right amount of RTV. Nobody knows less about EFI than I do, because I think this is how it all goes together. And then we have to put the intake on first for our brackets here. And then we come along and put these injectors in. And then we push this fuel rail down on the injectors and bolt it all down, and it's all supposed to work. That's our plan. Well, we didn't like those intake gaskets. They weren't coming down to the China wall, and they just didn't fit good. But you know Ray Barton's fit good, so you don't have to worry about that. They've got this coil bracket. Hopefully that'll, there's not a normal Mopar spot on the intake manifold for a coil. So hopefully this will work when we get it all done. So we put some studs in the front here. All right, I'm going to gooey up the China walls and get this thing put together. This Pro Flo 4 fuel injection looks like it might be turning into a little more than you were thinking. But, so maybe we'll do a little tutorial on some of this. So we installed the intake manifold, and these are for the fuel rails. Now I'll torque down the intake manifold, and then we'll put in the injectors and mount the rails. So I guess this is step 3. We put on the intake, and then we put on the fuel rail brackets. They give you good instructions. And you've got 28 pages here, and it's all good and everything. But there's nothing in there about mounting the fuel injectors. They got a tool list here on page 3, tools and system requirements. But it doesn't tell you, I want to know what to lubricate this injector with. I think all the other kits come with the rails on it and the injectors in, but you can't do that with a 426 Hemi because the rail would be here and there'd be no way you could bolt on the intake manifold. So I understand why they're doing it this way. But you and I have got to figure out a way to get this on here. Since I searched on YouTube for videos on how to work one of these, but that didn't work either. I was kind of hoping that the instructions were going to be 426 Hemi specific, just because, and I'm not being critical of Edelbrock. I mean, I'm glad that they made us an intake manifold and a system just for us. I think that's nice, but we've got to do some interpretation on the instructions. I don't know what I'm supposed to use for lubricant here. I'm just going to hope that dielectric grease is a safe thing. I know we want to lube it with something. Rubber doesn't like to slide on metal. So let's just try to lube up the hole and then lube up the injector. I assume this is going to fit in there pretty tight just because it's a high pressure situation. This has got to, well, I want it to slide in there without trying to bind up. Let's see how this works. Hey, that wasn't bad, was it? Great. Okay, I'm happy. All that sweat for nothing. Okay, let me put these other four in, and then we'll slap a fuel rail on here. I've got all the injectors in, and I've smeared the same dielectric grease in all the ports here on the fuel rails and on the O-rings of the injectors. Now let's hope this goes on there. I don't know exactly if we're going to try to. I'm not sure. Well, that went on there easy, didn't it? Okay. Yeah, I'm happy. And then we bolt it on. Now there is a hose that connects each side. I'll get that out here in a minute and we'll look at it. Okay, we've got fuel rails on. Now I'm going to see if I can mount this coil bracket here. When the Street Hemi came out in 1966, it was machined on the same line as the other RBs at Trenton. And so there was, you know, the RB's got your bars across the front here to hold down the valley tray. So they put bolts in the Hemi to bolt down the intake, because 426 Hemis don't have a valley tray. They're all a one-piece intake. Well, people were breaking their intake manifolds, tightening these down too tight, because, you know, this was a cork or a foam seal at that time, cork, I believe. So in '67 they deleted these bolts front and back, and all Hemis after that there is no bolts front and back. Just that was a '66 only deal. But the machine at Trenton still drilled those three holes because it's coming down the RB line, and so it drills those holes, taps and drills them, drills and taps them. And what they were putting in there, they left these holes in the intake, and I like those holes because I think they helped hold the gasket in here. And they were pressing in knocking in a, what do you call those, spring pin? Is that what you call it? It looks like a kind of a hollow dowel pin, but it's got a slit in it, so it'll spring down. So they just knocked those pins in there, and that's the way it's been ever since. So what I'm trying to get at is I can't just bolt that down, because that's doing the same thing as how people broke their intake manifolds. So I'm beginning to think I might have should have put some. I think what I need to do is put some kind of nut down here. In other words, if I put that nut on there and then put this on, then I can tighten that down, and I will not be tightening down on the intake. I will be tightening against that stop nut. So that way we shouldn't break the manifold. And you know, this is getting so busy up here. We've got a distributor to go here, and we've got this hose that comes across, and then we've got a coil here. You know, we may end up having to move this back to the back. Not so sure that isn't a better idea already. I didn't put any studs in it back there for that. Be kind of difficult to go through this stuff, but you know, we may end up that way. Most of the pictures I've seen has this crossover line across the back. I was thinking in his application, you know, he's going to have to put an EFI fuel system in a car, and it's going to be coming from the back. We won't be using a mechanical pump up front. So I was wanting to put the fuel in there and put the crossover here, but I think this is going to get way too crowded. We're either going to end up with a coil on the back and this line on the front, or vice versa, this line on the back and the coil on the front. We'll have to do some ciphering on that. Well, I think we've got everything bolted together like it should be. This distributor is specific to the Pro Flo 4. This has got all the goodies in there that the fuel injection needs. This is where you're going to get your cam sync. They tried to make a nice bolt-on, so to speak, situation. And that coil bracket doesn't come with a kit. That's an Edelbrock coil bracket, and it doesn't come with a kit, but they do make them and sell them. So, and I think I think you need that for this intake manifold, because you don't have a normal place to mount the coil. I had a viewer in the last comment section asked about push rod oiling and spray bar oiling, and that's really out of my normal realm. I'm kind of a flat tappet guy. I'd like to avoid large roller cams, large horsepower. Not the only thing I've ever had that had a spray bar, or either one of those, was my Neon, and I didn't build that engine. Ray Barton did, and it works great with a spray bar. Push rod oiling is really, it's pretty drastic. I realize there's people that have to have that for what they're doing, horsepower wise. If you want to go, we can get 800 out of these with flat tappets and single 4 barrels, and that's really enough for my taste. And we can probably get 700 out of the wedges. If you've got big bore motors, you can go over that. But so I really don't have enough experience at that. But all I can tell you is I would never want to do push rod oiling in anything. It's very complicated. It sounds easy, but if you'll read the threads on all the forums, I've probably read several hundred posts about people and they'll say, yeah, I've got it figured out, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't remember the dozens of posts that it took him 2 years to get that lined out. He smoked push rods, he changed roller lifters, he's had the engine out of the car twice, had to tear down the motor once, and bush lifters, and where do you put the hole in the lifter, and how big a hole do you put in the lifter? And then one guy says he welded up his push rods or stuck something in them because it was getting too much oil. When you modify the oil system, you can almost never get the right amount of oil in push rod oiling unless you go way too much, because there's no way for you to, unless you do this for a living, push rod oiling all day long, and you've already learned all of that, you'll just never get there. You'll never hit it. You're always going to be too big. You're always going to flood the top end, which is fine. That's better than starving it, but it's very, very hard. Spray bars, and a lot of people drag and drive nowadays with these big roller cams, and I can understand them wanting spray bars to lube the top end, and I get that, but you want a spray bar system that actually works, that somebody can tell you exactly how to do it and sells you the spray bar and where to put it and everything. You don't want to try to go off on your own on this. The stock, we can make so much power today with these strokers, and trick flow heads on the wedges and these Edelbrock heads on the Hemis. And I mean, we can make enough power to break stock blocks, really. You know, if you've got an aftermarket block and you want to get up there into that 800, 900, 1,000 horsepower range, well, you're probably going to have to get into that kind of stuff. But I sure hope I never get involved in that. I guess what I'm saying is my best advice on pushrod oiling would be to not build an engine that needs it. It's just, it sounds good, but it's very difficult to get it right. There's people that have done it, there's people that do it, but I'm just saying for me, I don't want to go there. I would, if you need spray bars, that's a little easier, and you'll know where you're at. That's all I can say.